Check, mic check. Ah, yeah. Okay. What's up, y'all? Let me just turn this down. All right, what's up? What's up? Kamea here from the ICO Coup. Super pumped for today or tonight. Like I said, you guys, I'm always up late. I'm on this crypto stuff late at night. It's the best time. Just stay focused. Hope y'all having a good day. Today I'm just going to go over three things, fairly important. Bitcoin kind of trading sideways right now. The hits keep coming. China. People's Bank of China orders banks to stop financing cryptocurrencies as the news tightens around the disruptor. Now, there's lots of reports, too, of this happening in America, but the PBOC, China's just run differently than the U.S. or Canada. And so basically people aren't able to fund their accounts to find out what you're using. In fact, I remember recently I went to the bank and I was trying to transfer some money and they started asking more questions like, well, what kind of exchange is this and details. And I was like, man, this control over money without being questioned. Like, man, I made my money in dentistry. Like, I don't have to prove that to nobody, but they want to keep asking. So all good. But yeah, that FUD keeps coming. And so that might be suppressing, people getting back in. People get worried about this stuff, regulation's real. It's a real concern for people. So I don't blame you for not jumping back in, but, gains. That's my favorite thing. So that's number one. Number two, just a little heads up to the people who hold Verge. It's going to be a hard fork. Now, it's not like a hard fork where you get free coins or anything like that. It's simply there so that you can... the miners, some of them are mining without updated software. And so this hard fork is really going to reset everything and get everybody right because they have that Wraith protocol and you should be able to do stealth transactions. And some of them apparently have not been going through. So that's the reason for the fork. So just a little heads up about that. Look it up. And I don't know if you guys ever look at the mempool for Bitcoin, but it's going down. It went down over 50%. So just earlier this month, we were up around $55 per transaction. And now we're looking at around $22. So now if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, I'm going to go through right now and kind of explain a little bit of what the Lightning Network is supposed to be. And apparently right now the developers are saying like, guys, just wait, it's not done yet. Don't do mainnet transactions until we figure this out because it's kind of splitting their attention as they try to create it, fix it, develop. And then people are actually starting to use it and they might be running into trouble. So they got to deal with that. So it's not ready, but they are growing pretty fast. Let me just check here, see how many nodes they have running now. So this is old. It says 29 nodes. Just go right to the inmainnet.gabin.win and you'll see these guys are around 79 nodes, 166 channels. So let me back up and explain to you what the Lightning Network is. So if any of you have ever had to pay a high fee for transferring Bitcoin, it's because there's a limited size of these blocks, 1 megabyte. In August, when Bitcoin Cash split off, they said this was going to be the solution to increase the block size to 8 megabytes. Basically jam more transactions in there. So the solution for Bitcoin, the developers have gotten together and they decided to do something called the Lightning Network. This is Charlie Lee with Litecoin and Joseph Poon. What the Lightning Network is so you have the blockchain and then you have the Lightning Network, which is what they call off-chain. So this isn't being done on the blockchain. This is a different layer of the transactions that are going to be going on a layer 2 network. So essentially what it is like, think of going to the bar and your favorite store or whatever, and you have a tab. And so you can do transactions by drinks or whatever up to the amount on your tab. And then you got to settle it at the end. It's like an IOU type of thing. This is what the Lightning Network is. It's a bunch of off-chain IOUs going back and forth. No Bitcoin really exchanges hands at that point until there's like a time limit. And once that time limit runs out, it all gets settled. Everybody gets their cut of the Bitcoin depending on how the IOU shake out. And you basically pay negligible transaction fees during that period. In fact, they're saying like 18,000 times cheaper. Now, one of the biggest features of all these altcoins is transaction speeds. Now, if you're competing with the Lightning Network and this whole thing works out, your altcoins are going to be in trouble because a lot of them, whether it be Dash or Bitcoin Cash or whatever, especially some of the smaller ones that claim that because we can do so many transactions, this is what makes our coin special. This thing could undercut everything. Now everybody's going to be rushing back to Bitcoin. So during these transactions, you need to have a SegWit wallet. You need to have a SegWit adopted in all of these transaction channels. And so the fact that people haven't really adopted SegWit, basically it helps you kind of fit more information into the block because you take out a part of the block, which is the signature, and you put it somewhere else. It gets attached to the transaction. So people need to adopt SegWit before this thing can really happen. So again, you do all of your transactions off chain, and then once the time limit is up, it puts it back on chain, and it just happens lightning fast. Negligible fees, super cheap. And so this is a problem for cheap altcoins and might eliminate their use case in a lot of ways. So because these transactions get done off chain, they're not on the blockchain, right? And there's some issues. It gets a little bit more complicated when you have more than two parties who have an open channel and you start to have 3, 4, 5, So micropayments are a possibility now, but from like a miner perspective, for example, they get paid on the blockchain. So all these transactions that are going on off chain, it is going to affect miners and they're going to make less, and they may not like that. But they'll still be part of the process. Okay. Here's the thing. When I was looking into this, there's two sides, right? I was watching Pro Lightning, and then it was Roger Ver who actually came out with a brand new video on his YouTube channel about what the Lightning Network means and why banks love it. Okay. Because as you kind of work through the logic of how that is, you have to open up a payment channel. You have to have an IOU that's big enough to handle the amount of transactions that you're going to, do between person A and person B. So whether it's $100, $1,000, whatever. But when you start having even more transactions and this thing starts to scale really big, you're talking millions, maybe billions per second, which, by the way, none of the tokens can do. I was just watching a video about the CEO of Binance, and they're a centralized exchange. And a lot of people are like, man, I want a decentralized exchange. Well, tell me a token that can do 40,000 transactions per second, because none of them can. Litecoin can do about 56, but if you're looking at Bitcoin, you're looking at 3 to 7 transactions per second. Ethereum, 15. Bitcoin Cash is around 24. So scaling is a problem. And the only way to get all these transactions through, Visa, for example, does about 45,000 per second. So just to put it in context for you. So you have this issue with scaling. And eventually one of these blockchains are going to be able to handle that volume of transactions between everybody in the world. But the question is, if you think about it for a second, it actually makes sense. it will lead to hubs, right? And these hubs, for example, if you and I open a payment channel, but I don't have a channel with one of your friends, I could actually route through our channel because you're connected with that person. But it's limited to the lowest funded channel, if that makes sense. So if you and I have $100 open, but I need to send that guy $200, I'm limited into how much I can send through you. So you could use like a business channel, for example. Like say your favorite store has like, I don't know, $100,000 worth of this payment channel that you can route through. So I can do my transactions with whoever else shops with that store. However, when that happens, you start to get these hubs, these bigger and bigger hubs that have the capacity for people to route through them. But that's starting to move in the direction of maybe like a centralized bank or something like that, right? And as these larger hubs start to form, they're going to be under more regulation because a lot of people are going to be using them. That's going to lead to more fees, and you kind of think it through and you go, oh, this is why staying on chain, on the blockchain was the solution. And so this is a really cool piece of technology, the Lightning Network, but there are two sides to it. And so something for you guys to think about, something for you to understand, read through it. I'll leave the links to those videos, both pro and against the Lightning Network, and then you can decide for yourself. I mean, I just think it would be really helpful for you when everyone's chanting Lightning Network's going to solve everything. Well, be careful what you ask for. Really think it through. Personally, I don't know. I've never done a Lightning transaction yet. I do use a Segwit wallet, but I haven't done a transaction through the Lightning Network yet. So I'll see how it feels and we'll see how this shakes out. I'm going to be up all night, just kind of chilling. I'll probably go live here on YouTube and just hang out with a couple of you folks who are night owls like me. Yeah, I hope you guys are having a great time in crypto land. Lots of fun. A lot of people it's funny. I'll go to the gym, actually they'll ask me, well, do you invest in cryptocurrency? I'm like, yeah, I do. And they go, well, isn't it used for criminal activity? I'm just like, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is think for yourself. Whatever people think, people who aren't willing to actually do the work of learning about it will often believe whatever they were told about it, right? People are just lazy. I get it. And that's cool. But as soon as the herd comes and everyone starts to believe in it, it's going to be a little harder to make money. Congrats to you guys for being early adopters and getting in there, not being scared. Certainly it can be a gut-wrenching thing when you look at what happened, 3 days ago and this whole thing just like went down like crazy, but you guys know what it is. It happened 6 times last year. It's going to happen a couple of times, not a couple of times, maybe 5, 6 more times this year. Doesn't matter. If you're a day trader, maybe it does, but for a lot of us, we're just holders. We don't worry about the day-to-day. We just worry about the big picture. And that's definitely where I am. So other than that, that's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. Hope you have a good day. Hit me up with any questions, anything you want me to talk about, explain. Hopefully it's useful for you guys. That's it, man. I got nothing else for you. Hope y'all have a good evening, good sleep. Peace.